Today, we're going to dive into a really beautiful, short story by Anton Chekhov called The Beggar. It starts out with a pretty simple scene. A lawyer meets a beggar on the street. But this simple meeting unpacks a huge question. What does it really take to change a person's life? Is it a good scolding? A job? Or is it something else entirely?
But here's the thing. We're actually going to start near the end. Fast forward 2 years, and the beggar is a totally changed man. He's successful, he's sober, he's turned his whole life around. But the story of how he got there? Well, let's just say it's not the story anyone thought it was. There's a secret hero in all of this, hiding in plain sight.
So, this is the big question at the heart of the story. What is it that sparks a real transformation? Is it tough love? Is it just being given a chance? Or does it come from a place you'd never expect? Let's find out together.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story begins on a busy city street. A successful lawyer named Sergey is walking when he's stopped by a man in tattered clothes, begging for some money. The man tells him this sad story about being a village schoolteacher who lost his job because of scheming colleagues.
Now, the story uses this word mendicant to describe the man. It's really just a fancy, more formal word for a beggar. But as Sergey is listening to this mendicant story, he gets this weird feeling, like he's seen this guy before. And then it hits him. He's being lied to. Sergey confronts the beggar, whose name is Lushkov, and says, "Wait a second, I saw you just the other day, and you told me you were a student who got expelled." He's caught him in a complete lie.
Well, Lushkov is totally trapped, and he just confesses. He admits everything was a lie. He wasn't a student, he wasn't a school teacher. The real story, he used to sing in a choir, but he was fired because he was a drunk. He says he has to lie because if he tells the truth, nobody will give him a thing.
Sergey is just disgusted by the dishonesty. He's not going to give this man any money, no way. Instead, he offers him something he thinks is much, much better, a chance to earn money through honest work. You can almost feel Sergey's self-righteous anger here, can't you? He truly believes that hard, physical labor is the only thing that can fix Lushkov. So right then and there, he makes him an offer. "Come to my house and chop some wood for me." Backed into a corner by his own pride and shame, Lushkov agrees. So Sergey calls for his cook, a woman named Olga, and tells her to take this man out to the woodshed. At this point, Sergey has no clue just how important this stern-looking cook is about to become. So Sergey is watching all of this from his dining room window, and frankly, what he sees is just pathetic. Lushkov is so weak, clearly worn down by alcohol, he can barely hold the axe. He gives the log this feeble little tap, and it just wobbles and falls over. It's obvious he has zero strength and zero desire to do this work. And yet, get this. An hour later, Olga walks in and tells Sergey the job is done. All the wood has been chopped. Sergey feels a bit bad for making a sick man work, but mostly he feels satisfied. He pays Lushkov half a ruble and tells him he can come back for more work at the beginning of every month. It seems like his plan is a success. So this one-time job turns into a regular thing, and from Sergey's point of view, his little experiment is working perfectly. Lushkov seems to be on the straight and narrow. Over the next few months, Lushkov keeps showing up for odd jobs, shoveling snow, beating the dust out of rugs. He even helps out when Sergey moves to a new house. Sergey is so happy with his progress that he gives him a letter of recommendation for a copying job. And after that, Lushkov just vanishes for 2 years. That is until one night at the theater, Sergey spots a familiar face. It's Lushkov, but he's not a beggar anymore. He's wearing a nice coat, and he tells Sergey that he's now a notary, earning a very respectable salary. The transformation seems absolutely complete. Sergey is just beaming with pride. He is completely convinced that his tough love approach saved this man from ruin. But this is where the story takes its biggest turn. Because the truth behind Lushkov's success is not at all what Sergey thinks it is. Sergey immediately starts patting himself on the back. He proudly calls Lushkov his godson and reminds him how he lectured him on that very first day. In his mind, he is the hero of this story. He's the one who saved this man's life. And then, Lushkov delivers the line that changes everything. He thanks Sergey, sure, but then he says, "Strictly speaking, it was your cook, Olga, who saved me." You can just imagine Sergei's shock. Olga? The cook? How could that possibly be? Lushkov starts to explain. He says that every time he showed up for work, Olga would look at him and just scold him. She'd call him a miserable drunk. But mixed in with all her anger was this deep sadness. She would sit across from him and just weep for him. And then she did something truly amazing. He reveals the big secret. Lushkov says, "I did not chop one single stick of wood for you. She did it all." Every single time, while scolding him and crying for him, Olga quietly chopped all the wood herself. Her quiet sacrifice, he explains, is what changed something inside of him.
So you see, this story isn't really just about Lushkov's journey. It's this powerful comparison between two totally different ways of helping someone. You've got Sergei's way, and then you've got Olga's way.
And the difference is just night and day, isn't it? Sergei's help came from a place of pride. It was public, it involved a lot of lectures, and it was all about making himself feel good. But Olga's help, that came from a place of pure compassion. It was quiet, it was selfless. She didn't give him a moral test, she performed a noble deed that sparked a real change in his heart. And that really leaves us with this final question to think about. Sergei gave Lushkov an opportunity, sure, but it was Olga who gave him the inspiration. One man offered a path, but the other woman gave him the strength to actually walk it. So, who do you think is the real hero here? The man with all the right words or the woman with the silent, selfless actions?